What's the easiest way to ruin your life in your opinion? To be honest, I think that guy's friend was him possibly. That's usually the type of thing a functioning addict would say. For the record, I used to be a functioning addict, then just an addict. That was 20 octoseconds ago. I don't abstain from less harmful drugs, but I definitely stay away from most, and I also don't drink alcohol. I say my bit with experience, and without judgment. It's been 8 years since I've known him and he's doing great. If I recall correctly, it was at least 10 years before I met him that he started. So he's been doing a good job for a while now. I also choose to believe that he will never hit rock bottom, as not all people do. Anyone who is reliant on any substance to get through their day is by definition an addict. He was functioning at that time. Eventually, his brain will be so out of whack that his quality of life will be affected way more than it already is, to the point he will lose his functioning capacity. It's inevitable. Being able to afford your habit for an extended period does not prove that it's not a negative thing. It does prove that all that money he spent on it could have gone somewhere else it's more needed. Gambling addiction. I'm a sober alcoholic, and I think drug and alcohol addictions are incredibly serious and can be devastating. Gambling is a whole different beast, where you won't lose your life or physical health, directly at least, but you can seriously ruin your life. I've seen families with kids get torn apart by it. The chase never stops. If you make $25,000, you'll bet everything you can and most likely get destroyed. If you work your way up to a 100K plus job, you most likely just increase your bet size and still ruin your life. The high is about winning an exciting amount of money, which usually means you have to wager a significant amount of money. Experimenting with painkillers. There is no such thing as dabbling. You might think you're stronger or not at risk, but they'll sneak up, grab you by the throat, and destroy everything you value and love. It's been a year and a half since I've touched anything intoxicating, and I still have a huge hole that I don't know that I'll ever truly dig out of. Financially, emotionally, relationships. If I had a time machine, I'd go back in an instant, and I'm one of the lucky ones that made it out, and statistically I very well still might not make it, no matter how good I feel today. Plenty I know and love did not make it out. Their loved ones have to carry that hole forever. Just don't start, not even once. I'll take another approach. Car accident. Everything else people are talking about here requires you to go out of your way to make a tempting yet risky choice. Driving is hard to avoid. Nobody can do it all the time without making a mistake. Once in a while, make it at the wrong time and you're dead, crippled, for something you spent so much energy trying to avoid. Suddenly becoming disabled. I am unable to work anymore. Never again. I spent my entire life working with animals, training horses and dogs, showing and riding horses from 2 to 32. Eat, breath, lived. Then never to work, ride, show or train. Working with abused or aggressive horses to help them. Gone in less than a second after. The first of many health issues. Breaking cervical vertebra. It all went down from there. I second this, but want to slightly elaborate. Any addiction will fuck you up, but that's if you get heavily addicted. Take for example, you smoke a joint once every week. Not too bad, and it isn't as harmful as other drugs, every day. You will become dependent on it to relieve your everyday stress and will slowly melt your brain over time. Porn is another example of this. Masturbation is a healthy and normal thing, and doctors even recommend it, max 2-3 times a week. However, if you do it every day, it will start to affect your views on the people around you, thus, melting your brain, perception-wise. Apart from drugs, mismanaged credit, so many people I know could have fairly decent lives with their income, but instead are buried in credit card debt and bank loans. Many of them even have high incomes. Just one example: family friend, university degree in chemistry, stable job but drives a 1994 Cavalier in the worst conditions. Her brother died and she got enough money to put a huge down payment into an apartment, 70 to 80%, and pay some major debts. Kept saying it was too small and ended up getting more debt and the money vanished. It is very easy to get crazy high limits on credit cards, but too many people treat them like free money and spend frugally. Refusing to get vaccinated for COVID. It will limit the places you can go, cost you your job, and maybe even your life. Takes zero effort, unless you count trolling people to tell them how stupid they are for getting vaccinated and providing some false information about COVID or why vaccines are the boogeyman. Vaccines are free. Over 200,000 people are dead from COVID since vaccines were available. Most of them were unvaccinated. I will give my input as a person who has actively tried to ruin their own life before, and succeeded. I ruined my life because I decided that I was going to A. kill myself, and B. go on a destructive rampage before I did it. My logic, at the time, was that if I behaved in a reprehensible way, people would leave me on their own and they wouldn't miss me when I died because I was a terrible person. They would blame me and that was good. I wanted them to have that anger. I believed that I was evil and that was the indisputable truth. I started believing that years before I purposely did anything to make people hate me. My stupid little scheme went on for way too long. I'm a good person and I have good morals, generally speaking, and I violated all of them. It's how I learned that I have a manipulative streak. Anyway, I've grown and moved past that, and for reasons that are personal for me, I changed my mind about ending my life, but the damage is still done. My point is that these feelings build, and if you really want to destroy your life, whatever you do, you can't take it back. Don't do it. Make sure that if you do survive, you have a life to go back to. If I've misunderstood your question, and you were just asking out of interest, meth. 100%, meth is the easiest way to ruin your life. Alcohol. I rarely ever drink. If I do, it's because of a special occasion, and even then it's one or two and done. I've never been an alcoholic, not even close. It's not for me. I used to enjoy drinking when I was younger. Now I just feel the depressive effects of it. I also know I have an addictive personality. My brother and plenty of my family have had an unhealthy relationship with drinking. I've seen plenty of people ruin their lives with it. Going on the internet. If you aren't susceptible to false information and addictive videos online, you'll probably get cancelled on social media or harassed over something stupid. There will always be someone who wants to give you shit. I'm currently dealing with someone who is accusing me of pedophilia for liking a TV show, all because the creator said that aces are allowed to have. I'm fascinated by people's worst decision of their life stories. Some people are fortunate that their worst decision only had a mild impact, while others have truly ruined their lives in a split second. Terrible, not thought through decision. I find myself being able to empathize with people who are facing consequences for uncharacteristic, but awful, choices. Not excusing them, but just thinking about how tragic it is to ruin a life. Meeting a 12-year-old who is home alone in her home, with Viagra and condoms in your pockets, and having a gun holstered inside your jacket, and inside the trunk of your car is a video camera, duct tape, rope, shovel, a tub of Cool Whip, an S&M mask, nipple clamps, a spank paddle and several porno mags. Opening the door, and instead of finding that home alone 12-year-old, you are facing a team of police officers. What things probably won't exist in 25 years? Oroid den. Ere was the race of humanity. Some say we go what we'd served, some say it was destined why. Oi say it was all a lot of nonsense if you ask me. Say you wouldn't happen to have any poppers, would you? Love me some poppers. We used to do them all the toy I'm on to. No. Well, how do you call yourselves in advanced society, den? Countermeasures, and countermeasures. That is the worst thing that has to always happen with everything. All of our technology has to keep being retooled and recreated and upgraded and reinforced, for pretty much no other reason than to combat society's assholes. Every conceivable thing that we do needs to be redone, over and over, to prevent scumbags from abusing and manipulating it. You can't just have a password. You need it to contain at least 8 characters, and they must include upper and lowercase letters and numbers and special characters. And then you need to prove you're not a robot, and then you need to click on all the pictures of trains, and then you need to have your authenticator code. And then you need to enter the code we sent via email. But then your password was exposed on the dark web, so you need to do all of that 47 times for all of your accounts because someone used your bank account to get an Uber into NYC. Humans have turned all of our modern conveniences into chores. I've been thinking about this. Might it be possible to somehow use encryption, blockchain to create a verifiably unedited video format? The idea being, the video gets locked away and encrypted with geotag data as it's captured, frame by frame. It could be opened and used without that ID data, but to verify via the encrypted ID data, you would need the device that captured the data. I know nothing about this stuff, so I'm probably showing my ass, but if someone knows why this couldn't be done, it might be informative to hear. Edit. Just to summarize my takeaways from this thread in case you don't want to dig, this is somewhere in the realm of feasible, in the works, already being done to the extent possible, or begging some pretty big questions, depending on who you ask. My reaction is that this might really be a branding, marketing problem, a need for an official stamp of approval, if you will, which might be solved if this becomes a bigger problem or if the underlying tech reaches a point of maturity. And you need someone to verify IDs for alcohol. I know that can be solved with technology, but that doesn't mean the laws will be updated to allow it. Also, you still need some humans there to help out with the machines and make sure people aren't stealing or vandalizing the store. Also, human cashiers are way faster than self-checkout, so some stores won't want to dedicate the necessary floor space to have enough machines to make up for the slower throughput. Midger has a shop and scan. Scan it to your phone and scan a checkout QR at the self-service register. Pay and leave. It keeps a running total for you. Pulls up coupons that apply. All very good. Only downside, every once in a while it makes a cashier scan few items to verify your honesty. I get it, you can't trust the public, so all in all fast and convenient. Payphones are required at public, community pools. Edit for those confused. Payphones are required because they can be used to call 911 in an emergency, for free, without having to worry about coverage and service or anything else that can pop up in an emergency situation. Unlocking a phone, allowing anyone including children to be able to call, plus, EMS automatically knows exactly where you are. I honestly don't think it's a bad idea. We are vets, Holocaust survivors, which will probably make it that much easier for deniers. History repeats itself. Edit. I didn't say history will repeat itself, I said history repeats itself, as in present tense, as in right now. See the comments by myself and others. My great-uncle is 99, he was shot down in a B-17, parachuted into a Dutch beet field and hid there until the Germans gave up looking. Dutch underground kept him safe for 3 weeks, handed him off to the Belgians, who got him to England for repatriation. He was sea kayaking until about 5 years ago. He's still mentally sharp but is starting to have health issues. He says thank God he can drink wine with thickener added. Sorry for your loss. Yay, I'm part of the older than usual parents gang too. I'm almost 30 and dad is almost 70, and the thing is ... I was his first ... He has kids as young as 4. I hope he lives for at least another few decades, and wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's pretty healthy for his age, but having older parents, that thought is sometimes in the back of my mind, like they don't have that much time left. Don't want to lose either of them, but know I probably will sooner than the average person. That feeling sucks. The Maldives are a small independent island chain off the coast of India. Their average elevation is 1.6 meters, 5 feet, above sea level. With rising sea levels, while the islands will certainly still exist in 25 years, in 50 years the islands will face crisis as the seas truly begin to encroach upon the coasts, and in 100 years, half the country will be underwater. Lots of people will be forced to move and may become climatic refugees. This is a stretch, only if the major companies operating them purchase each other, which the Fox acquisition by Disney was already a stretch. They only didn't get hit because there's still other competition. This would require Apple to acquire Netflix, for example, for them to be willing to combine and package services. More likely we'd see underperforming services maybe teaming up to bundle themselves, like Paramount Plus and Discovery Plus or something like that. I have this working theory that as of 2021 the singer Elvis is just starting to be culturally forgotten. When I was younger I used to see Elvis references every now and again. He was pretty huge, I guess, even though he was way before my time. Now I swear it has been years since I've heard or seen him referenced. To test his theory I ask people if they remember Elvis, and I get the total "oh yay, Elvis" that you might get from some obscure show from the 90s. Facebook has been around for 16-17 years. When MySpace shit the bed and lost most of its membership by the late 2000s, most people thought Facebook would die out within a few years. While I do not check it much anymore, It still seems to be going strong. Been on it since 2005, I can see it's still around in 25 years. Maybe a really niche thing and probably evolved into a more futuristic form, but I doubt it is going to fade away into obscurity.